Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Prayers for the people that are enduring the winter storm. It might be a light crowd today because a lot of people are dealing with the snow and ice up north of here. And so prayers for you guys. Now, we're going to have a little bit of fun today because, if it appears in the news, we're supposed to believe it, right? Because things like alligators that don't like hot weather and all kinds of other ridiculousness is what they're trying to pass off as news and truth to fit into their agenda moving forward. Now, I couldn't even believe some of these stories. Alligators don't like hot weather. Now, I left a pretty revealing comment on this particular story to expose the silly nature of this fear mongering. And my comment said something to the effect that if this was all about, global warming and the water's too hot, even for alligators, well, then, I might believe the story if it was something about, new alligator habitat much further north than ever seen before, right? Because that would almost make sense. You'd be like, oh, the planet's getting warmer, so alligator habitat can now be seen as far north as Kentucky or something like that, right? But that's not what they're telling us here. Which, of course, they wouldn't be able to prove that anyway, because alligator habitat is the same as it's been for as long as we've had recorded history. In fact, it's moving further south because of development. And this whole notion of sea levels only rising in certain places in the world. I mean, there's copious amounts of proof out there that demonstrate there are places that they have going back hundreds of years, pictures, and the water level is at exactly the same spot as it was before. Except we're supposed to believe that, in some places the islands are becoming buried. But water rises different places in different areas. I mean, this is ridiculous. But for the sake of comedy, let's read this article, and we're going to use our urgent news anchor voice. Because that's the only way to read a story like this, right? Scientists make troubling discovery while researching alligators in the Florida Everglades. We need to get ready. Ready for what? Look at this poor alligator. He's loving this. He's like, yeah, I love the sun. Florida biologists are closely monitoring how alligators in the Everglades are responding to rising global temperatures, and they're concerned about what they found so far. What's happening? Well, the scientists from the University of Florida Croc Docs team are studying more like are studying threatened American alligators to help assess the impacts of rising global temperatures in the Everglades. Right? Like common sense tells you, okay, it's too hot here. Let's move up north a little bit. Let's just go further inland where it cools off a little bit. Let's go up into North Carolina and Kentucky and whatever else. But this isn't what's happening, so they can't say that, right? Since the 1970s, the researchers have documented the erosion that is changing the nesting patterns along the coast of the southern Everglades. So they're literally saying here that these islands that they were visited before are now covered in water. They're literally trying to say that the islands, because of rising seawater, are now covered in water. So where is this sea level rise in the rest of the world that they've been going on and on about? So, of course, some people are going to believe this nonsense and jump on the global warming and rising seawater bandwagon, because this is what they do, and this is what they will use to enslave the rest of us. They ignore what the Bible says about how the end times are going to go down, and instead they believe scientists, right? Now, on a more serious note, this is not good, you guys. Elon Musk has now emerged as the second frog of the three total frogs out of the swamp. Revelation 16:13 through 14 describes three unclean spirits that appear as frogs coming out of the mouth of the dragon, the beast, and the false profit. You can't but help but wonder. Elon Musk now changes his name to Kekius Maximus on X. That's a frog. Right? Wow. Now, who is Kekius Primus? Oh, that would be Trump himself, which many have already compared him to. Right out of biblical prophecy. Now, first we're going to go back to 2017, and I'm going to show you why the frog was associated with Trump, and then we'll read what's happening right now in 2025 with Elon Musk announcing that he is the Kek frog. Now, what happened in 2017? Well, let's read this conversation article. This was dated March 7th, 2017. This is right after the inauguration, Trump's first presidency, how an ancient Egyptian god spurred the rise of Trump. Donald Trump's presidency is well underway. How many observers are still trying to understand how he won the office in the first place? Blah, 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 blah. A small subset of these campaigners is worth special attention, not only because of their political convictions, but because of the unrestrained fervor to fulfill an ancient Egyptian prophecy involving Trump, a cartoon frog in an online counterculture. The story starts with the infamous online image board 4chan, which has been a weather vane of internet subculture since its conception. And it says here that there was this reoccurring character of this cartoon frog, Pepe. By 2015, this wrinkly, wide-eyed face had become a staple among the community. And there was a whole sub-forum and everything. And Pepe the Frog collided with the outside world in June of 2015 when Trump announced his candidacy. Trump, with his aversion to political correctness and penchant for flair and showmanship, was immediate candidate of choice. And so Pepe the Frog was edited to wear a Make America Great Again hat and began appearing in hundreds of Trump supporting forum posts. So this is the history of the Kek frog from 4chan and how it was associated with Trump. Now there's more to this. Each post published on 4chan bears an identifying number assigned consecutively by order of publication. Because of the huge number of posts published every day, this number is practically random. 4chan has an old tradition of users trying to have their posts obtain a certain special numbers known as gets. The most precious gets are round numbers, such as 1 million, or those that repeat all their digits. By October 2015, poll was approaching its 7,777,000th post, seen to be of particular importance because the number 7 is often associated with good luck and fortune. The post that would get the number was sure to gain popularity. As it happened, this number, the 77777, was the message, was for the message Trump will win. So something is happening here, isn't there? Trump associated with the Kek frog. Now I'll leave a link to this. I don't want the whole show to be about this because those of you that know the connection between Trump and the frog already know all this information. And for those that don't believe it, I'll leave a question, or I'll leave a link to this so you can dig into this. So, but what is going on with Elon Musk now? The current Kek frog and possibly one of the other characters in Revelation of the three frogs, the false prophet, the Antichrist. Let's read. Elon Musk changes his name to Kekius Maximus. Now, this happened a couple days ago. And it says the world's richest man, Elon Musk, has sparked speculation after changing his name on a social media platform, X, to Kekius Maximus. The tech mogul and close confidant of Trump offered no immediate explanation for the name on his new profile image, which depicts the character Pepe the Frog, a meme that has been used for far-right groups. The move has sent ripples through the cryptocurrency world, sending the value of meme coin, a digital currency inspired by internet memes that share the same name, skyrocketing. In the past, Mr. Musk has influenced crypto prices with his social media commentary, but it is not immediately clear if he had any involvement in this particular meme coin. Wow. Kekius appears to be the Latinization of kek, a word roughly equivalent to laugh out loud, popularized by gamers. Kek is also the name of the ancient Egyptian god of darkness, which is sometimes depicted with the head of a frog. Many would link Maximus to the name of Russell Crowe's heroic character in Gladiator. So it's all happening. They're literally telling us what's happening. We have now a second frog from Revelation. Let me go back into the chat. We'll get into some of these other stories today. Simply unbelievable. Now, ever wonder what a cocaine gopher might be like? We got cocaine bears. We got cocaine. What's the other ones? Cocaine sharks. Well, we're about to find out what cocaine gophers are like, because they found 7 tons of cocaine buried underground. Wow. How did they find it? Well, cocaine-fueled gophers dug up so many holes that the ground underneath the city imploded. Just kidding. That didn't really happen. Well, let's read this story anyway, so we could laugh about cocaine gophers. Now, let's take a look at this. See if there's a video here. I think there's a video. Let me refresh this. Look at this. Could you imagine? Oh my gosh. Spanish authorities said on Monday they had seized 7 tons of cocaine stashed in sea freight containers buried underneath a farm, arresting 3 suspected smugglers. Police posted video of the seizure, showing officers digging up ground and retrieving dozens of packages containing the alleged drugs. Civil Guard police said that they launched the operation on Friday. They detected 2 suspicious speedboats at the Guadalquivir River. The boats were tracked to a rural estate in the municipality of Correa del Rio. So this, I guess, was in Spain. Wow. So, cocaine gophers. Unbelievable. Now, ready for this? Scientists have discovered an amazing practical use for your leftover coffee grounds. So, you ready for another recycling container underneath your sink? I think my mom has about 12 now. I'm like, Mom, your house is filling up with recycling containers. She's like, I can't help it. This is what they make us do. Now, what excuse are they giving to now forcing you to recycle your coffee grounds? Now, look, I'm not against recycling, but it's about the control. That's what I don't like about this. Now, I save my coffee grounds. I throw them in the garden because that's easy. I just save them up in the kitchen and I dump them into the garden because it's supposed to be good for the soil. But now they're trying to say coffee grounds cause global warming. I mean, when are these people going to stop? Let's read this in the urgent news anchor voice. Scientists have discovered an amazing practical use for your leftover coffee grounds. We could be producing concrete that's 30% stronger by processing and adding charred coffee grounds to the mix, researchers said in Australia. Their clever recipe would solve multiple problems at the same time. Every year, the world produces a staggering 10 billion kilograms of coffee waste globally. So they're like measuring the coffee waste now. The disposal of organic waste poses an environmental challenge as it emits large amounts of greenhouse gases, including methane and carbon dioxide, which contribute to climate change. So Australia is trying to reverse their deserts by making you put your coffee grounds in cement. You can't make this up. Wow. All right. Well, let's get into some of this other stuff, you guys. Because guess what? Another delay on the return trip to the moon. We all know why. NASA delays Artemis. And now all of a sudden they're not so sure. I mean, this is hilarious because we all know why they're delaying this over and over and over again. They're just trying to make sure that They're probably in the studio making sure that they can fool us completely this time instead of all the mistakes they made in the first mission. NASA delays Artemis missions again. What could this mean for the moon, Mars, and space leadership? Look at this. Look at these pictures. That's some cut and paste right there, isn't it? NASA's first 2 crewed Artemis moon missions have been pushed back to 2026 and 2027. And the move could have big ramifications for the agency's Artemis program. Now, remember, Trump set up the Artemis program. Okay? So he's the one that says that we're going to go back to the moon. Artemis 2, which will send a crew of 3 Americans and Canadian astronauts around the moon, was due to launch on September 2025. The mission has now been moved back to 2026 because the astronauts tried to go around the Van Allen belts and were annihilated. No, it doesn't say that. Wow. So they're making up all these reasons as to why all this is been delayed. They're waiting for something. What are they waiting for? They're getting the control mechanism in place so that they can eliminate any opposition. And once the technological fence is in place, fully operational, you won't be able to say the moon was fake. Nobody will hear you. You'll literally be talking to yourself. And that's when the screws tighten. So they're just pushing all this back, pushing it back. And we're almost there. They've got all the tech titans in place for complete and total domination and control. They did their drone test already over the East Coast to see how people would react to mysterious night drones that nobody knows where they came from. And everybody just was like, oh, no big deal. Night drones. This is our new world. So now they have total surveillance. They've already got the facial recognition because the real IDs have all been distributed. We're going to talk about that today as well. Now they have face prints of your face. Someone asked in the comments section, they're like, Casey, what's the big deal? They already have our faces anyway. When we look in our phones, no, you don't understand. The real ID is a baseline. They need a baseline, a very detailed still photograph of you in the exact position as everyone else. That's the baseline. They then map that, and that's what they load into the artificial intelligence to find you on any camera. Now all they need is just processing power and networks. That's all. That's the only bottleneck at that point. Yes, Walmart has your face, but again, Lorraine Ray, that's not the baseline. That's just, how can I describe this so you guys can understand this? Think about this. Okay, when you go in and get fingerprinted, right? That's the baseline. Okay, all other fingerprints that they're going to find out there are going to be smudged. They're not going to be accurate. They're going to be latent. They're going to be not as good as the original print that you get when you're booked, right? Let's say if you get arrested. And it's the very same thing with your face. Yes, they can see you on a camera in Walmart, but that's not the high resolution camera that takes the detailed map of your face, which is through Real ID. That's the detailed mapping of your face. And this is what they use to find you through all the cameras now that are in the air and on every street corner. Okay, that's how this works. So never give in and go, oh, they already have our face anyway. No, that you're giving in. This is about the detailed face map, the original print of your face that we've all consented to through Real ID. Now, before we get into Real ID and what's going on, because things have changed drastically. Now it's all over the U.S., not just a few states, and it's mandatory now. Before we get into that, we need to touch on Trump's New Year's Eve party, that he called the center of the universe. Now, this will give us an idea of what's to come, because we all know what the real center of the universe is. That's God. So, this is a blasphemous statement. What if I got on here and said, you know what, you guys, the Ozarks is the center of the universe? You would immediately unsubscribe because that's blasphemous, right? Instead, I tell you the opposite. I tell you, you know what? This isn't about safety. This is about being as close to God as possible, being in the wilderness, and being outside of the beast system. I tell you things like that, which are, humble me before God, right? Because this is what he has told us to do, to get out of these cities. But instead, Trump says he is the center of the universe. Mar-a-Lago is the center of the universe. The swamp is the center of the universe, which is what Mar-a-Lago means. The lake by the sea is a swamp. Now, what else is going on? Well, apparently all the tech billionaires showed up. They all showed up to Trump's Mar-a-Lago for the New Year's Eve. Zuckerberg was there, Trudeau, Elon Musk. And this is really weird. Now, we don't see Bill Gates listed here, and Trump is being secretive about this. He's not saying whether or not he actually met with Bill Gates, and neither is Bill Gates. Bill Gates isn't saying anything either. So that suggests that they actually did meet. Let's see if there's a video here so we could play this. If not, there's another story here. But this is kind of shocking, right? I don't think they're going to play the video here. Now, Trump's New Year's Eve party at Mar-a-Lago. Melania, Elon Musk, Bettina Anderson attended. Now, I know all these billionaires and millionaires have New Year's Eve parties, but there's something different about this and how it coincided with this tweet that went out to Bill Gates, or that talked about Bill Gates. Now, here are some of the other people that showed up. Don King showed up. Former pro wrestler and actor Triple H showed up. Stephanie McMahon, which I believe is in the cabinet. J.D. Vance, of course. Ted Cruz. Mike Waltz. Who else? Oh, Linda McMahon. Oh, Linda McMahon. Okay. So a lot of wrestlers. Whole wrestling thing. Roger Stone. So this is the shape of things to come, you guys. This is what's coming. Now, nobody would have anticipated that Trump would have filled the cabinet with 13 billionaires. Nobody except us. We knew that the technocracy was rising, but still, the relevancy on this channel is still waning. I don't understand it, but it is what it is. But the tech billionaires, the technocracy is rising. We already said this was happening. Skynet, the technocracy, it's here. Now, if you haven't heard by now, something else happened related to Trump. This truck, this Tesla Cybertruck, exploded near Las Vegas Trump Hotel. And they're calling it a possible terrorist act. What is this video of it? Oh, let's see here. Let's see if this comes in here. Now, there's some new information on this. Fireworks in the back, and there's some new information as to who they say was in this truck. A person actually died. Now here's the big elephant in the room. Musk quickly tried to cover this up. He said that, oh, this wasn't because of the battery in the truck, that this was because some fireworks were in the truck. It's like he magically knew all this, like literally hours after the event happened. And he's saying, oh, there was some device in the truck or fireworks. So he miraculously was let into the inside of this investigation. Because that's what police do, right? Oh, they just give up all the information. Of course they don't. So let's read this. It says authorities are investigating a possible act of terror in Las Vegas after the Tesla Cybertruck parked near the Trump International Hotel exploded Wednesday, leaving 1 dead and 7 people injured. The vehicle was rented in Colorado and arrived in Las Vegas around 7:30 a.m. The driver of the vehicle has not been named by authorities, drove the vehicle up and down Las Vegas Boulevard. Now, they've since named this guy. We'll get into that in a minute. The vehicle sat there about 15 seconds before the explosion went off. Police later discovered gasoline canisters, camp fuel canisters, and large firework mortars in the back of the vehicle. The sole individual in the truck died. The explosion occurred hours after the deadly attack in New Orleans. And Biden said federal authorities are investigating whether there may be a link between the fatal truck assault and the explosion in Las Vegas. Now, what makes this weird is, again, Elon Musk says, he was quick to basically downplay the fact that these batteries do explode like this. Musk speculated the explosion may have been an act of terrorism. He says that's another coincidence that absolutely is continuing to bear from our investigation that we have. To continue to look at. Oh, no, that's a different guy saying that. But what is this all about? Well, here is the suspect, or who they say is the suspect. You notice something? There's never just some guy. There's never like a Walmart guy or something that gets accused of this stuff. It's always some kind of paramilitary or some kind of person that's into guns. It's always the same profile. So here it is. Cybertruck blast suspect revealed to be an active duty Green Beret soldier. Oh, really? Wow. Okay, because that's what Green Beret soldiers do, right? They rent Cybertrucks, put explosives in the back, and drive up to the front of Trump hotels and blow themselves up. Unbelievable. Now, we all know the danger of these electric vehicles. Because they're all electric, as soon as something goes wrong with the electricity and the circuitry, for various reasons, water can get into the circuits, seawater. If you're out, if you're down in Florida, there's literally seawater in the air that can get into the electronic components. We've all seen it. And if you drive through a puddle that's a little bit too deep, these batteries, the circuitry within them just kind of implodes. And then what happens? It messes up the locking mechanism on the car, so you can't get out of the car. You're literally trapped in a very hot car that will light on fire, and of course you'll die. And then they can't even put the fire out. So unless someone breaks the window for you, you're stuck. It's like a death trap. And this happens more often than you might think. Everyone wants to believe this is super rare. But if you go on any social media site, you'll see hundreds of different videos of this happening all over the United States, wherever there's an electric vehicle. So you have to wonder if these two things are connected. I mean, I know there were fireworks in the back, but what was the whole point of this thing? It's kind of confusing, isn't it? So let's read about this supposed suspect. The suspect in the New Year's Day Cybertruck explosion was an active duty, highly trained special operations soldier. Okay, sure. The driver who rented the Tesla has been named as a 37-year-old Matthew Livelsberger. Jeez. From Colorado Springs, Colorado. He was said to be married to a social worker and on leave from duty in Germany at the time of the attack. His wife has not heard from him in several days, because that's the blueprint, right? Same with Mangioni's family. His family hadn't heard from him in several months. Wow. Makes you wonder if these are like, super soldiers or Manchurian candidates, right? MK Ultra people that they've switched on to do these things. Livelsberger. Sounds like a fake name to me. Weird. Highly trained in communications and electronic measures for bomb detections and intelligence operations. Okay, so bomb detections. Here's a guy specializing in bomb detections, and he chooses to use fireworks to explode a vehicle. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. That's like a little kid doing it. Oh, let's blow up this truck. We'll put a bunch of fireworks in there. Wow. Green Beret. All right, let me check in with you guys. It's been a minute, and we'll keep on going with the rest of these stories. Can you believe any of this? So, Musk is downplaying the fire component to electric vehicles. And then we've got this bizarre story now with the Green Beret aspect to it. Now you got to ask yourself, did God do this to try to warn people about our coming electric prison and Trump's continued support for electric vehicles, which I told you won't go away, even when everyone thought it was going to go away, when he was campaigning saying that he was going to, gas, right? He was going to support gas vehicles and propane and all this and methane. And I told you that's not going to happen. And you're like, Case, you got to take him at his word. Well, as soon as Musk got on board, we knew he wasn't doing away with electric vehicles. It's just going to be more of the same. Same as the Democrats would have done. So maybe this was some kind of spiritual warning to the people to finally wake up. Or it could have been an activist, or it could have been a super soldier, MK Ultra. Who knows? I have no idea, you guys. Super weird, right? All right. Okay, let me check in with you guys, and we'll get into the kind of the last of these stories today. Good morning. Yeah, I don't think caves are going to save us, Catherine. Only thing that's going to save you is Jesus Christ. We're not of this world. This world is of sinking sand. Our kingdom is in the next kingdom, not this one. We're not supposed to invest anything into this to try to survive or anything. The best you can do is stay out of their system spiritually and rely on God and try to remove yourself from at least the last few years of all this so that you can be away from the beast system. That's all God wants you to do. He doesn't want you investing in this beast system, because you're just supporting it when you invest in it. I know different people have different ideas about the last days. Some people want to go out with a bang. They want to accumulate as much as they can. They want to leverage the beast's tools to try to position themselves monetarily with gold and silver. None of that's going to matter, you guys. None of it's going to matter because it's all going away. Moths and rust destroy gold and silver. That's basically God saying all this is ending. So, that's all we can pretty much do. Now, it appears as though our efforts to stop Real ID have failed. We've been talking about Real ID since 2020. I've been trying to wake people up to this. Remember, it started out as just something to get into federal buildings and prisons in only some states. Remember this? Well, it has now since been expanded to all states, and the deadline is approaching. And now, in 2025, it is required to get on an airplane domestically here in the United States. Now, how did they get away with this? Well, because airlines have been federalized. TSA. How did that happen? Because of 9/11. So, here we are. And exactly what I told you was going to happen is happening. Through gradualism, they have forced literally a federal ID onto every citizen in the United States. Now, if you don't fly, no big deal. But guess what? Eventually, it'll be expanded to everybody. Okay? And why should you have to, become a prisoner in your own state because you don't want to get a real ID to fly? That's not fair either. That's impeding your ability to fly and to travel. That's already the beginnings of a prison. And eventually this will be rolled out to everybody, not just people who want to fly. So this is how gradualism works. You say, oh, that change doesn't affect me, so no big deal. And you ignore it. You don't stand up for the people who it does affect. And then eventually it affects you, but by then it's already too late because they've already turned the screws. So here we are, federal ID that expanded under Trump's first term that he personally endorsed. And now they have a federal print of your face that can be run into the database, and they can find you anywhere on 1 million cameras in America. Now, we're going to expand on this breach of privacy in the show a couple days from now. We're going to basically write Trump's speech for his inaugural address, or what it should be. Now, of course, this isn't going to be what he actually says, because he's running cover for all these people. But hopefully, if I write the speech the way it should be written, that will give you a stark contrast to what he's actually going to say on Inauguration Day. Because I believe there should be an AI human privacy bill of rights. So I'm going to take my time. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to write a speech for Trump. And it should be all about standing up for human privacy, human right to work, a real job, human right to work a job for a person of average intelligence, to be able to have a safe place to live, a working vehicle based on average work ethic. I'm so sick and tired of the machine steamrolling over anybody who they smell blood in the water. And they're like working people to the bone. You guys, these people are working. They're not sleeping for 3 days at a time. This is not normal. This is not the world that Jesus wants. And we've accepted it, increasing levels of responsibility, increasing levels of perfection. And meanwhile, who is that benefiting? It ain't benefiting you, because when you run out of energy and concentration and health, you get cast aside. It only benefits the billionaires and millionaires who are profiting off of the backs of the working people. Without us, they would have nothing. So ask yourself, how long do you want to play in this game with these people? When are we going to demand a fair wage for a regular working person who works 40 hours a week? When are we going to demand this? Well, I would hope that we would demand it in 2025 at the inauguration, but very few will. They're just going to be glad that they won against the Democrats, right? Trump will fix everything. So this is it. Real ID. It's now required. Now, the only thing that can replace this for domestic air travel is a passport. Now, I have a passport, so I've kind of already given up my privacy rights. Okay. So it is what it is, but I will not get a real ID. But eventually they're going to force this on everybody. So I'll put a link to this story as well. Now, talking about privacy rights, look at this. One of you found this story. Oh, Casey, Peter Thiel's fine. It's artificial intelligence. It could be used for good. Doesn't matter that he's connected to Trump in 5-10 different ways, and all these tech billionaires were buddies with Thiel. Mark my words. Any day now, Trump will publicly announce his friendship or whatever connection to Peter Thiel. We will see Peter Thiel with Trump at some point. Okay, they're going to reveal it. Palantir. Now, this was a story from 2018, right in the middle of the Trump presidency. And this is what Palantir and Peter Thiel were working on. Secretly using New Orleans to test its predictive policing technology. Was there a movie about that? Predictive policing? This is the America we want to live in? This is the America that Trump's brought us? Law and order? Well, how are they going to do law and order? Well, I'm about to read to you how they're going to do it. Let me check with you guys and we'll read this. When are people going to stand up? When are they going to say something? When are they going to step outside the right-left paradigm as we're being marched right into the gulags? I hope that they stand up soon. We're doing our job here, but I don't know how many other people are. Wow, thanks DKK for the very generous super chat. That's much appreciated. Thank you so much. Thanks, Brian, for the gifted memberships. You guys are amazing. Now, let's read. Hopefully this will wake people up. Now, if this doesn't wake people up, I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow also about Peter Thiel and vampire, literally drinking the blood of youth in plain sight. And we're going to be covering a documentary on a guy who literally is trying to live forever. He says he's better than Jesus. Who is he? The guy who started Venmo. And he got the idea from Peter Thiel, who invented PayPal. Unbelievable. These are the people that we're dealing with here. They're trying to be gods. So that'll be tomorrow's show. Now let's read this first about predictive policing in New Orleans. It says in May and June of 2013, when New Orleans murder rate was sixth highest in the United States, the Orleans Parish District Attorney handed down 2 landmark racketeering indictments. Remember, this article was from 2018, right smack dab in the middle of the first Trump presidency. And let's get down to this part here. They're talking about the gangs, 3NG and the 39ers. Okay. It says here, according to Ronald Serpus, the department chief at the time, one of the tools used by the New Orleans Police Department to identify members of the gangs came from Silicon Valley company Palantir. And understand, this is being rolled out to all Americans. We're going to be living in a technocracy, a prison, a digital prison. Let's keep reading. The company provided software to a secretive NOPD program that traced people's ties to other gang members, outlined criminal histories, analyzed social media. This is why I don't go on to these social media sites, because they're honey traps. They're secretly, basically, they're CIA websites. They've got you all alone over there, so it's really easy to run their algorithms and to see what you're up to. Now, we proved that with the whole crapper hole incident, because we actually read an indictment on air. Remember that? We did that live. And they literally said that they went into the guy's Parler account, and that's how they found him. Okay? So, this is real. And I believe those sites are literally fronts for data gathering so that they can go after people who are, quote unquote, extreme. Because you have to kind of be extreme to go on the site, don't you? Because you're fed up with censorship and all these things. So you go right into the honey trap. It's better to hide in the trees here on YouTube, because they have to make them do their job, make them do their job, which is to try to find you. So let's keep reading here. It says the company provided software, blah, 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 analyzed social media, and predicted the likelihood that individuals would commit violence or become a victim. As part of the discovery process in Lewis' trial, the government turned over 60,000 pages of documents detailing evidence gathering against him. Wow. From confidential informants, ballistics, and other sources. They made no mention of the NOPD's partnership with Palantir. The program began in 2012 as a partnership between New Orleans Police and Palantir Technologies, a data mining firm with seed money from the CIA's venture capital firm. Do you see what's happening now? Do you see what's happening? The CIA is not supposed to be doing domestic stuff. That's supposed to be foreign. We're literally being taken over. Let's keep reading here. The initiative was essentially a predictive policing program, similar to the Heat List in Chicago. Now you know why they've let the violence get to where it's at. They've done it intentionally so that they can come in and bring a solution. Because without a problem, let's say you've got a peaceful city, you don't need something like this, do you? And now you see how everybody's being used. This is why the crime is so bad in Chicago. This is why the crime is so bad in New Orleans. In fact, I would argue that they're helping the crime be worse by pumping guns and drugs so that they can have a playground to run their algorithms. You guys, it's go time. It's go time. You have to wake up. You have to reject all these lies that they tell you about what's really happening, that this is about Biden versus Trump. They went after him. Poor Trump. He must be good. He's a conservative. He's going to save America. You've got to wake up to the right-left paradigm. Both sides are working towards this, and then they'll have control. We're not quite there yet. We still have a chance to wake people up to the paradigm, to wake people up to what's happening. This is why we're going to do the Bill of Rights for humans versus artificial intelligence. That will be a very, very important show, because it will put things in perspective for you. We're being overrun by an artificial intelligence, you guys. It's happening. Now, I'll put a link to this story as well. Some of you will be very interested in this story because it already happened back in 2012. They were already starting this. Shocking. Now, sometimes I'm going to end the story in the show today with this. The Matrix is a very strange place, isn't it? This is Lake Isabella. They found human bones, guns, and drugs at this guy's. Let's read this. Or let's listen to this.
Dozens of guns.
Let's read this.
Held in jail tonight and is scheduled for court on Tuesday. This after a search of his home allegedly revealed drugs, bomb-making materials, dozens of guns, and human bones. The discovery sent chills down the spines of neighbors who know this suspect. 17's Justin White visited the neighborhood and spoke to residents who had no idea what deputies say was next door.
This dirt road is unassuming at first glance, but according to KCSO, a house up the road hides a terrible secret, one that neighbors never thought possible.
They've always been really sweet people.
Heather Walworth has lived down
quite a bit to make sure that we both had everything that we needed. I was at work and my daughter messages me. She's like, "Mom, what's going on at Sam's house?" And when I got back, we were watching and I saw what I thought was a CSI truck because it was dark show up, and I was like, oh, that's not good.
The man arrested is 52-year-old Michael Deathridge. It's far from his first run-in with the law. Deathridge has a rap sheet that goes.
And why the reason why I said the Matrix is a weird place sometimes, because this guy literally lived on a ridge and he was basically the death ridge. Wow. 52 years old with a rap sheet, and they found human bones. And I think they don't go into too much detail about this, but strange story, right? Space junk. Let's cover this story before we pop off here. Massive space object fragments crash into a remote village in Kenya. Look at this thing. Does that look like... What is that? Looks like a giant ring. This is like Halo falling out of the sky. So this is what's happening, you guys. And I love how they always blame everything on China. Right? It's all China. It's China. I don't know if they blame this one on China, but they don't know what it is. Stuff just falling out of the sky. Now, tomorrow, we're going to finish up Wayward Pines Season 2. And as I always say, you're just not going to believe it. Because toward the end of Season 2, a fog-like aerosol is released into the air, which causes a mutation in humankind, which eventually turns them into zombies. We're going to cover all that tomorrow, as well as the man who wants to live forever, who's connected to Peter Thiel, who literally was infusing the blood of his own son. He literally invited his son to live with him, paid for his college, and then, oh, hey, son, why don't we try this? Thanks, Brian, for the super chat. You guys are awesome. Literally started infusing the blood of his own son. The guy who started Venmo. This is where it's all headed. You guys, we're headed for a scenario. Once the technocracy is in place, Well, they will begin to pay people to give their blood. They're already doing it. When you go and donate blood, you have no idea where that blood's going. Why do you think they recruit? Why do you think they go to colleges for blood drives, you guys? You have to wake up. And the billionaires and millionaires go and they can purchase this blood. And it's making them younger. The Bible says the power, life is in the blood. And we are forbidden to drink blood with the life in it. This was the very first command that Noah was given when he got off the ark. God said, just as I have given you the green herbs of the field as food, now you may eat animals, except, and he said, except, you cannot drink the blood with the life in it. What that means is you're not allowed to be a vampire. You're not allowed to drink live blood because it does something. And so therefore, here we are in the days of Noah with them drinking the blood with the life in it. We're very close to the end, you guys. We're very, very close to the end. They're drinking the blood with the life in it to preserve life. I'll have clips of that documentary along with Wayward Pines because it all ties in together. It's really interesting how the Holy Spirit works, isn't it? One of you recommended that I watch Wayward Pines. Did I know there was going to be an aerosol fog that mutates man? No. I had to watch 2 full seasons to get to that part. And lo and behold, just as I'm getting to the part that talks about an aerosol fog mutating man, all of a sudden there's a weird fog that shows up in the news. You guys, that's supernatural, isn't it? It's supernatural. It means that God is leading this channel so that we can try to warn people about what's coming because we're walking right into it. If you're giving your consent to these people through voting, through praise, through worship, through thinking, having faith that they're going to solve America's problems, then you are part of the problem. You've got to wake up. You've got to wake up. I love each and every one of you. I'll see you tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss tomorrow's show. Much love, everybody. Take care.